Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today for this very special episode of Anything Joe's. We're just going to break down the PulseCon 2022 reveals. That's right. You've heard everybody else's. Now here's somebody else's. We're going to use the histank.com images because I feel like they covered it as extensively as possible. And we're just going to go through these images one by one and share some real quick thoughts about them, and some hopes for the final product and our hopes for the future as well. So let's just get started, because this is just going to be kind of like a little short episode. We're just going to focus on these classified figures. Jaren, the first image I've got on this slideshow is the finished Serpentor. At this time, the pre-orders have already come and gone for this. Were you able to get a pre-order in on this guy?
Yeah, I actually somehow snagged two.
Yeah, I was able to get one because it was all I could afford, and even that was a stretch, but I think this is a pretty great figure. I have some small issues with it, but for the most part, I think for a first delivery, it's pretty great. The chariot itself, I think, is perfect. It has the little opening mouth clamp that they added to the modern release of this figure, where the little snake mouth can be like, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my rectangle." The stickers on the side, the Cobra logo with the little crown on top is unique to this Serpentor vehicle specifically. It's not a logo that's used anywhere else that I'm aware of. I think the air chariot is a smash. It looks just like the original. They've modernized it ever so slightly, but not in any disruptive way. And the size allows them that has added a lot more detail. It looks more like an actual machine because they've added all these tiny rivets and bolts and stuff on it. And I think that looks great as well. The figure itself is really, really sharp. If I was going to pick it apart, and I guess I am, the head mold and especially the little snake hood cowl doesn't quite resonate with me the way that I want it to. It's a little too form-fitting on the head, and the serpent cowl part, at least looking at the original mode, I feel like should be a lot larger. Even in the cartoon, I feel like it was portrayed as being significantly bigger than that. Almost would rather not have it, quite frankly, because it's so diminutive in size. I think the cape looks good. I hope it's kind of posable. I haven't gotten a figure with a cape in a long time. But I hope that it's got a little bit of I don't know what you call those little bendy parts, but I like when you don't have to do
like a wire.
Yeah, I hope it has just a little bit of that. He's got a claw, like a Wolverine claw accessory that clamps on. This runs in line with his original V1 figure. He had molded two claws that go over his knuckles. They've made this a separate piece and a much more prominent. It literally looks like two small teeth on the V1 Serpentor. On this, they've turned it into a full-on Wolverine claw. He also has a straightened snake, which is what he uses as a weapon in G.I. Joe the movie. He would straighten a snake and then throw it like a spear. And so that's a cool nod. And then he has a little pet snake, which is also something that the original Serpentor came with. It was just a little toy snake. It's just hanging out.
The snake's name is Bucephalus.
Is that true?
They said in the live stream that he was named after Alexander the Great's horse, and that was Alexander the Great's horse's name. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. Bucephalus.
Happy Halloween from Bucephalus. So the other accessory packs things, he's got a staff with a serpent head, perfectly cool. He has a not quite a dagger, not quite a sword, somewhere in between those two things, I would think. And then he has another claw, but it's much, much longer than the original one. So he has a short, kind of like Assassin's Creed dagger, and then he has another Wolverine length dagger.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be the one's open and one's extended.
Oh, extended.
One's closed, and then the other one's the extended for actual attack.
So genuinely very Wolverine-like.
So then. Wolverine, yeah, exactly.
What's this? Are you looking at the picture where you can see the box and then he's outside of the box?
Uh-huh. Different snakehead?
Yes. Is that for his helmet?
Yeah, so the way that I believe it was during one of the roundtables, Lenny was talking about it, or it could have been someone's interview at SDCC. I can't remember, but it kind of, one was supposed to look more like the original, and then one is supposed to be more of a classified version. I don't think, at least I can't tell the difference. I don't know if we've gotten a picture of the two different versions.
Well, I'm definitely interested in seeing that.
I think the one that you don't see here is supposed to be, like the one that you see separate from him, is supposed to be the more original, because I think it comes up a lot higher, but I believe he said it restricted the movement a lot. So that's why they wanted to do the two separate.
Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that out of the box. All right, so let's move on to some of the actual finished renders that we got to see.
Oh, real quick, I just want to say on the air chariot, I love that both guns are removable and the ammo belts are removable. I love that they think of those little details.
It's a great set. I completely agree. The Air Chariot is one of the most desirable vehicles of that scale that I can think of, because it's like you did not buy a Serpentor without one. Like, it was a requirement. So lots of people, I'm sure, had it, played with it, and remember it fondly. It is literally attached to Serpentor in every sense, because it was the only way you would see him. It was just like it was an extension of him, basically.
Yeah.
So the first full reveal that I've got is the Covergirl figure. And I am very excited about this figure. It looks really, really good. I like that the accessory pack portrays like Covergirl the mechanic as well as Covergirl the like soldier. Like this first shot that we've got, she's holding a wrench. She's got like a cool little like data pad, or like, I'm not exactly sure what that is on her thigh, but she's got like a little piece of tech basically. Then she's got a cool shotgun. She's holding it on her back. The detail on the jacket is done well. I mean, the outfit in general is extremely faithful. I mean, you got to remember, Covergirl has not gotten a lot of figures ever. So, in terms of needing an update, I feel like there's a lot of room to modernize this, and you're still not really deviating from their original formula, because Covergirl V1 was such an early figure. We didn't really know what the specifics of her outfit was going to look like. If I had to take a complaint about this, I would say that I would have liked to have seen an alternate head. Covergirl has been portrayed with different hair colors over the years, and I think a blonde, which I guess is probably an inevitable repaint if they're thinking ahead, is something I'd like to see. I mean, we're pretty well adjusted to having to buy another version of the same character instead of just getting the one piece that you wanted to change out. I mean, I would still think that this is a very high demand figure for me. I'm really looking forward to it across the board. What are your thoughts on Covergirl?
I think Covergirl looks fantastic. I love the design. I think her art is actually really good. The art that they did on the box art. I know a lot of people hated on it, but it's different, and I love that they're not trying to make every bit of art look the same on these boxes, especially going into a windowless design. Once again, there are spots for, I believe, everything other than the shotgun that she comes with for her to hold. There's a spot for her wrench in her belt. There's a spot for her little phone data pad, whatever that thing is. It looks like we're still utilizing pinless technology, so that's great.
That's what's enabling her to put that shotgun the way it is on her back, right?
Well, the pinless is just where you don't see the holes on the elbows.
Oh, I see.
From like where the elbow joint is. But that looks to be, that's probably some utilization of like a butterfly joint, maybe.
Yeah.
Is why you can get that rotation.
I'm starting to learn a little bit more about construction of figures, specifically figures in this scale, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit, actually. I don't normally get caught up in the nitty-gritty of how a figure is created and what it can do, but despite the fact that I didn't get that correct, I am learning what's what. The next figure we have in the set is it's the Slaughter's Marauders Barbecue, but they have renamed it to the Mad Marauders based on the box art. I don't know this, but I can only make the assumption that this is a licensing problem. Like maybe they could only license the rights to Sergeant Slaughter for the figure. They couldn't use his name.
That makes sense.
You put any weight behind that? Because I mean, we have a Sergeant Slaughter coming out. There would not be any reason to not be like, yes, it's Slaughter's Marauders. Here's the inevitable repaint of Sergeant Slaughter in Slaughter's Marauders colors. So I'm not sure what I don't think anybody knows exactly what Mad Marauders is supposed to be a reference to. If there's a new character coming that's suspected to be the team leader. I will say that this figure, this is a pretty standard repaint. He looks good. The Slaughter's Marauders paint scheme, I think, is pretty choice, and they've held to that here. They've not deviated from it much at all. But it doesn't change the fact that it is, at the end of the day, another barbecue. The first person on a team that we don't know for a fact that there are any other members coming right now. So this is a one and done for me. I'll buy it. I don't have any plans to open it, at least not until the team, and until I have an actual team to put together. What are your thoughts on this?
I love the coloring. like seeing this thing makes me want the originals just because I can get those easier than waiting the years that it's going to take to get the full team in this paint deco. But I really liked the barbecue figure. Barbecue as a character has always felt weird to me because his name is Barbecue, but he fights fires, right? I'm not.
Yep.
So as a character, it's hard for me to like utilize him in my head canon because I'm like, well,
at least Blowtorch carries his namesake around as a weapon.
Yeah. But I'm like, Barbecue, go make everything not on fire. But I mean, really cool design. I still wish, and same thing with the original figure, I wish this was one with an alternate head. This isn't a bat. This isn't a Cobra Trooper. This is a character. And as much as I normally love faceless characters, clone troopers, Mandalorians, things like that, with the classified, I love their story, and I would like to be able to kind of put a face to the name.
Yeah, it's weird. We've never had a truly, helmetless Barbecue, but in the cartoon, he would run around without a helmet all the time. So we have a basis for what we think we would want his real face to look like, but to this day, nobody has still stepped up and made that happen. I would like to see if there are any 3D printers out there that can take that challenge on and make a pretty compatible, unmasked Barbecue head. I would definitely bring this figure back into the limelight for me. I would be more excited, I think.
Are you ready for the next figure? Are you ready to talk about it? Have you processed it?
Let me click over and look. I haven't really looked ahead, so... Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Baby, am I ready. So this is the regular V1 Outback. This is the non-Tiger Force version. If you haven't listened to me talk about the Tiger Force Outback in the episode where we had it imported, holy moly, top of the line. I mean, easily in my top 3. And part of it is because Outback is like one of my favorite shows. Just a great, solid character. And I love the Tiger Force version, but I love this version just as much. Classic Survivals t-shirt printed off. In this particular promo shot, it looks like he's got his thumbs tucked under like he's wearing like suspenders or something, which really just screams Outback's personality to me. Like, he's got everything that you remember about him, like his big honking backpack. There's his, like, little light. He's got a sidearm. He's got a knife. He looks great. They did the detailing. They had gone into detail about how they've sculpted individual arm hair for him, and it's not as noticeable on the Tiger Force one, but on this one, even from this distance, you can see the red hair that's been painted on his forearms. Just a great looking figure, and I look forward to hearing Jaren say good things about it also, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a problem.
I love this figure. The only thing, since you have talked it up so much, the only thing I wish was different is I'm not the biggest fan of the tan color that they chose. I feel like it's just a little too orange. With that being said, this looks to be one of the best looking facial sculpts and then arm decoed figures that we've seen in the line. I love this figure.
Yeah, after a string of pretty unacceptable modern Outback figures, I didn't ever really get the one Outback figure that I felt really captured him. It's very satisfying to see one that's done so well that, I'm very excited to get this figure above all else. Yeah, a great reveal. I had nothing else to say. He looks perfect. I can't wait. Next up, Lieutenant Falcon. So, this figure, I think, is probably the weak one of the reveals. It wasn't until people online really started showcasing the head design for this.
Yep.
And it does look really weird. It looks a bit like a puppet or like a fake mask. I don't know, when I stare at it for too long, it gives me the willies.
It's like that uncanny valley, I think. It's just weird. Like it looks like it should be a real person, but also that it's not. It reminds me of the wax museum. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, I hate to be unfair to whoever designed it. It actually maybe looks almost too real. Like if this was a selfie series head that came out, I'd be like, oh my God, it's perfect. They did a great job. So it does feel a little bit of a double standard to be like, you guys didn't make it cartoony enough. I don't know. It's both simultaneously too lifelike and not lifelike enough for me. The rest of the outfit, I don't really feel like it does it any favors either. He's wearing like a weird jacket. and it doesn't ring true to the character. I have nothing, like, I'm not looking at a V1 Falcon right now thinking it doesn't look right. It just doesn't vibe well. Like, for lack of a better term, there's something about it that just is not aesthetically pleasing to me. I will say that the green is pretty spot on, something I wish that had happened with that Stalker figure. But the rest of it is, I don't know. Do you have a better insight into this than I do? I'm lacking the words to describe exactly what it is that's wrong with it.
See, to me, the photos that they show of it staged look worse than the actual figure they have at the PulseCon. Like, if you scroll down through the His Tank and you see the pictures of them, I think it looks better. I am not in the same camp as you because I actually like the figure other than the face. And I think like the head mold or the hair, I think is beautiful. I like the gear, but I'm also coming from it that I don't have any connection at all to the original figure. I like what they've done. I love the coloring. I think he's going to be one that I will constantly have out and with me. It's just, he will probably get a head swap, unfortunately.
We have got to sit down and watch the G.I. Joe animated movie because I forget that you didn't see it when it was in the theater, and Falcon is such a focal point of that. I would really be interested in seeing your reaction to it. It's so wild that it's not even a question that you are going to love it, because I know how your behavior patterns are when it comes to G.I. Joe stuff. It's absolutely
things that people don't like. I love.
It's right up your alley. I'm going to put that on our to-do list sometime next year. By this time next year, we will have sat down and watched the animated G.I. Joe movie. Next up on the list is the Crimson Bat. So I think that the Spat design is great. I mean, I bought several of the regular classified Bat, as many as I could kind of comfortably get my hands on, and would still buy more, I think, if I saw them in person. But I gotta say, man, the repaint train is really starting to. I'm really starting to feel it. The repaint of this figure does not really do much for me. I have no specific attachment to the Crimson Bat, the character. Honestly, the only other Bat that I have any real genuine interest in is the V2 Bat with the like orangish green color, which if this was a repainted like that, I would actually probably be legitimately interested in. So this doesn't do a whole lot for me overall. It's just another repaint. If you're into them, that's great. And I want to have one for the collection, but I'm not going to troop build these. I like my Bats plain and simple V1s. What do you think about them?
Do you hear that, Greg?
What?
Toot, toot. All aboard the repaint train, baby. Let's go. I am all down for it. I absolutely love this. I love the color. The only thing that I don't love is they put the big Cobra logo on its chest. I would have preferred that just to be a black piece, or even a silver piece if they wanted to adjust it. Once I finally inevitably get the Python Patrol Bats and these, I'm going to start switching things around and seeing what looks best and hodgepodging and doing all that. But these figures, I mean, I've got a Bat in my hand right now while we're recording. I've been playing with it the whole time we've recorded. I absolutely adore these figures. So this will be basically the way you feel about that Outback is probably about how I feel about these Bats. I love them.
I don't think you are authorized to speak the emotional depth that I have with the Outback. All right, so I would be remiss. I skipped this at the beginning, but whoever does the diorama work for these guys put together a great battle shot.
Phenomenal.
Where it's like everybody versus a bunch of Bats, and it is awesome. It looks great. They really do a lot with very little, honestly. Like, there's nothing in this diorama that the average toy photographer couldn't also make at home. And yet, they have done a really good job of portraying like a moment in time of this battle. It looks really good. It makes me, I get excited when I see stuff like this. I'm like, oh man, what a great story. I could just imagine, how they got into this predicament. All right, so the next thing I have on the roster, it's the closest thing to an intermission we're going to get. It's the Nerf gun. So, do you know what this gun was originally? It's not based off of any G.I. Joe weapon that I'm familiar with. Is it based on a real gun?
If I remember correctly, this is based off of a popular Nerf gun. Not a popular real gun, not a popular G.I. Joe gun. It's called like the Hyperfire, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is the Hyperfire. It's based on a Nerf gun. It's just a repaint, is what it is. It's a Nerf Hyperfire with some G.I. Joe logos stuck on.
Yeah, so okay, let's go ahead and get right out of the gate and say that this has got a MSRP of $100, and the one that I just looked up on Amazon, the non-repainted one, is $47.99. So already it's pretty insulting. Let me tell you what I like about it. I like that it's an actual authentic Nerf gun, and if some dummy was unfortunate enough to feel obligated to buy every dumb thing that comes out, he would at least not be buying a crappy knockoff. It's an actual Nerf gun that's apparently, according to you, pretty popular. So I'm optimistic that when I shoot my cats with it, it will deliver a gratifying experience. I also like that on the back of the G.I. Joe side, it has the Honor, Duty, Courage logo, which I can only ever really remember seeing on the original headquarters flag. It's like a very old part of the line. That's all the good things I have to say. Let me get into the bad things. So they put that logo on there. Then they also put the Rise of Cobra movie logo on the cartridge, which completely defeats it because it takes me out of the moment altogether. They couldn't be bothered to make two guns. It's G.I. Joe on one side and Cobra on the other, which literally means the side that you're fighting on just depends on your perspective. I don't think that looks good. I don't think it will display well. The logos on the Cobra side are really poorly done. It's not good.
You know, I get that complaint about it not being two separate guns, but you would rather it be two separate guns, so you have to spend $200 on it?
No, I think you could pick the one that you like better, and then I could be like, well, okay. I have one. The thing is it comes with a variant cover for issue 300, the final IDW comic, and the cover is like all the Joes holding Nerf guns. It's not going to be available any other way, and I really want it. I had already said that I really wanted to try to track down all the covers for issue 300 because it's a bit of a milestone. I know it's probably going to keep moving on, but I feel like they'll probably become more valuable and get harder to find going down the road. So I'm just going to try to track them all down now. If that means I got to buy a $100 Nerf gun, then that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. I mean, I have a kid. She can play with the gun and we'll get enjoyment out of it. Probably, but I do feel a little suckered into it. But whatever, I bought a $100 silver coin that's worth less than $20. It's certainly not going to be the most foolish thing I do with my money.
It's not the biggest G.I. Joe tax you've used.
Do you have any last thoughts on that before we move into the digital reveals?
I do. I have one other thing that I think another problem. This is a fully auto Nerf gun. I don't know if you've experienced any of the newer ones that have they're basically like a Hot Wheels track, how they have the spinning circles that shoot the cars. That's how these work. They have a spinning wheel and it shoots the bullets out.
Sorry, is it battery powered?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at the gun, there's two triggers. You hold, I believe on this one, the bottom trigger, and that spins the motor. So you'll hear it, whoom, and then you pull the trigger to shoot. The problem is,
okay,
these have been released with a drum mag so they can hold 25 rounds. This does not. It has a standard mag, which I don't know Nerf that much. I'm going to, 12, 15 rounds maybe, if you're lucky. So you're getting an inferior version of this gun that has some logos popped onto it. So you're going to have to be chasing down more Nerf bullets.
Yeah, that's a good point. I went to look at the back of it to see if there was more information, but the back of it is just the front of the other gun, basically. So they're trying to sell it to you from both sides.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could blow the picture up and see how many rounds come in it or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it stinks.
We will do an unboxing when I get mine because I already know I'm going to open it to get the comic out. So we'll check it out and see how many bullets it's got. See if I can fend off an army of cats with it.
Thank you all for joining us for Anything Nerf.
Hey, also owned by Hasbro. Anytime they want to send us some stuff, I'll review the hell out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's get into our digital reveals. These are characters that they don't have fully formed. There's no physical figure to show. It's just a digital idea of what we expect it to look like, which up to this point has been pretty. I would say there are very few digital reveals we've seen that have changed significantly from digital to actual physical figure. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree.
So the first digital reveal we have is probably also the most controversial one. It's rock and roll. I do have conflicting feelings about this. It's weird that they only choose like one character to bring forward, and I don't understand how that decision is made. But unless the idea is just like, we will do a repaint of this, so let's give them this one first. I don't mind some parts of this, like Rock and Roll's got tattoos. That makes perfect sense. Did some great detailing on his helmet where it says like Hang 10, alluded to like his surfer history. I love that. He's got his classic gun, like his big old machine gun. Looks great. The only thing, his head mold looks awesome. I wish he was a little bit less serious looking for my taste, but just the overall look is great. I only have one issue, and it's this weird tan part that's in his torso. We've already seen a couple of OG 13 Joes that have been brave enough to wear this just straight green military, and that's what I want. It makes it look just like their originals. Only the detailing in their face has been brought forward, really, which is necessary because back then they all looked the same. So bringing this one splash of color is a little off-putting to me. This is still a winner in my opinion. I love the alternate hands also, and all the other modernization parts I'm all for, but I would like to see what this looks like with just a flat green. Actually, I think I have a digital mock-up. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, I'll show you what it looked like because I think it would look good. Jaren, I know you don't have that same connection, although you are obviously familiar with Rock and Roll V1. What do you think about this figure?
I actually like the breaking up of the color, and to me, it looks like, for my in-universe explanation, is that it looks like a military undershirt, that a military person would wear, and he got tired of wearing whatever was over it, and took it off, and that's what he's left with. The only thing that I don't love is the kind of the bracer on his left arm with the rounds in it, just because it seems a little bulky and impractical when you're trying to, rack the slide or, do things. It just seems a little too bulky. So that'll probably be the only thing I change. But I couldn't agree with you more on everything else that you had said other than that tan.
I wonder if they're planning on bringing him with something that will allow him to store that machine gun, because that would be quite the large backpack. I think it would add value for him to be able to break it down somehow and carry it with him. Okay, so, on to the next figure in the line. No big secret here. This is just the Tiger Force Outback minus the Tiger Force part. He's in his regular colors.
Bazooka?
Yes, it's Bazooka. Sorry, listeners.
Can't get your mind off that Outback.
I couldn't get my eye off that mustache. There's really not a lot to say here. He looks exactly how you would think he would look. It is not as exciting to see this because I've seen the Tiger Force version already, I guess. And so you're already like, yeah, I get it. But I do still want to commend him. I think the face mold on this Bazooka looks great. And his helmet is a really, really great throwback. All of his accessories that are shown here are pretty faithful. He looks almost exactly like V1 in every way. So yeah, it's a win. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I agree. I love his mustache. Give me more mustaches.
We'll be interested in seeing if his bazooka will be exactly the same or what the design on that's going to look like, because that's his other definitive feature. The next digital reveal we have is Torpedo. It's a V1 Torpedo, and you know what? This is actually my first time really looking at it in depth. This Torpedo looks really, really good. My only complaint is, a similar thought from earlier. I wish there was a complete unmasked version, especially because the facial detail on this looks insane. Looks like a real human being, frankly. So I would love to see, what he looks like with the whatever you call the skin tight part that goes over your noggin. I do appreciate that we are seeing some of his face, and that the mask is now like a secondary feature that actually clicks on to make it look more realistic. And I think the overall accessory set is good. He's got, is it a harpoon? I keep forgetting.
It looks like a harpoon, yeah.
Okay. He's got like a harpoon gun.
Like a spear gun?
Yeah.
I guess maybe it would be the terminology.
He's got a regular machine gun as well, so it's not it's not unbelievable if you have him fighting above the water. That's another reason I think it's important to have him without a mask on at all, so he can look like a regular Joe, not somebody that just only gets caught on in the water. Respect, because this outfit could have inspired a lot of deviation. It almost looks like a superhero outfit. Like if you put Bullseye's head on top of it, it would fly. But it works in the simplicity of it. I think it's a really sharp design. What do you think about old Torpedo?
Yeah, I love this. I think this is absolutely phenomenal. I have to imagine this is the deluxe. I don't know if they've said that or not, but I feel like this has to be, right? Seems like a lot more than they would normally give us.
Yeah, maybe.
I say my favorite thing about this actual figure is how he has a swimmer build. He's got a very like slender, not as bulky as like Rock and Roll or Bazooka. You know, he's a lot more slimmed down, like someone who would be if their job was just swim around in the water. And then his knife also looks more like a swimmer's knife as opposed to like a traditional combat knife. I think they really went into it and put some really good work into it.
Yeah, I think this is a winner. Was a bit of a surprise, and I'm really pleased with the way they stepped up and delivered. Speaking of water Joes and Cobras, our next reveal is Copperhead. I mean, this Copperhead is another one that is just like as by the book as it gets. The only real deviation is they've done something to the front of his helmet, specifically the mask part. It has like a divider across. It's a black line. I'm not really sure if those are supposed to be a separate piece. Like, does it open like a mouth, or am I just getting a bad digital render angle and I'm not sure what I'm looking at? Do you have any input on that?
I look at it as like almost like a breathing apparatus or something.
But he's not pictured with any kind of oxygen tank or anything.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I see what you're talking about. Like, to me, it looks like in the Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon Jinn Obi-Wan put those things in their mouth. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know what it's intended to do.
I guess we'll have to wait for the final reveal. I need to at least see it from a different angle to really get a vibe on what that's supposed to be. He has a tattoo also on the inside of his wrist. It looks like it's a playing card of some sort. I might be seeing that incorrectly, but that's the vibe it's giving off from my angle right here.
Yeah, for when I zoom in, that's what it looks like.
And that's about it. I do like his belt buckle. It's got like a Hydra looking logo on it. It's like skulls and some kind of like tendrils or something behind it. This is a 1-1. I mean, they did a great job. If you want your Copperhead to look like your V1 Copperhead, welcome aboard. I don't think they could have done it any better, quite frankly. It looks great.
Yeah, I love the big like blade thing that he's got. I think that's really cool. I love the little bit of a facial expression. You know, I think we've talked about it on the show before. There was that Walmart retro collection Duke with the screaming face that I don't think either of us liked. I'm not into faces with that much emotion, but a little bit. You know, a snicker here or a furrowed brow there is, I think, pretty good. And I'm all about giving them tattoos. I mean, really, if you look at it, most people in the military have tattoos. So go ahead and ink them up. It's worth it.
Speaking of people that have tattoos, let's flow into the last digital render that we have. It is Shipwreck. Just want to say that I did pretty much call that Polly would be a static figure. It's unfortunate, actually, but at least it looks like it will be able to clip on. It clips onto like the rope that goes around him. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. I think there's a lot of good things about this figure. His jeans have like an actual faded look, which I think is very sharp. They added tattoos to him that look like the nautical tattoos he's had in the past. That he's got chest hair that's like detailed in a really like surprisingly minute way. Like it's a very small detail that really shows through. He's got an alternate head. Alternate hair. You can put his little sailor hat on, or you can put his regular hair on. I have to admit, even after seeing the like 3D mock-up, what he looks like with hair, you just don't normally see Shipwreck with just his hair. Even when he's out of his Shipwreck clothes, he has like a little beanie hat that he normally wears. So I'm having trouble wrapping my brain around that's what his hair would look like with no hat on. Still, I appreciate that it's being added. You know, I think it's a nice touch, and maybe I'll get used to it. Everything else, pretty much as observed. He's got that weird-looking Spanish gun that I can't imagine anybody actually uses in combat. He has one part of his little grappling hook, and he has a regular pistol as well. Yeah, I mean, this is a good version. He's making an unusual expression. I have to hope that gets softened a little bit. It's not entirely out of place. It's just, it looks like he's in mid-conversation or something. I don't know. Maybe the real figure won't look like that.
It looks to me like he's doing the rock eyebrow.
Any other thoughts on Shipwreck?
No, I love this figure. This is probably and I feel like I've say this a lot. This might be my most anticipated action figure not just classified series. This might be my most anticipated. I love Shipwreck. I love his character. I will replace that poly. I think because I don't want him to have that rope, because anybody who's carried around rope, that's not comfortable. Like I would not want rope just tied around me. And I really appreciate them giving the alternate hair, because I think that's a really cool piece, and I will be using that at least some.
Yeah, absolutely. Me as well. Hey, I just realized that there's like 100 million pictures of these figures at the end of the slideshow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about on the Falcon. I think that version of the Falcon looks better.
Yeah, you can also pretty plainly see Covergirl with her like tech phone thing, and it looks really good. Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for us for the Hasbro PulseCon 2022 recap. We hope you enjoyed our flippant decisions and thoughts on new project that's coming out, and we would be interested in what you guys think about these classified reveals as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave us a comment and we'll see it directly. You can also send us an email at anythingjoespod@gmail.com, or you can contact us on one of our many social media sites at anythingjoespod. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We look forward to hearing from you, and we thank you for joining us for this special episode. And we'll look forward to talking to you again in just 2 short weeks, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.